Welcome back, everybody, to the JR Wisdom Show. Glad to have y'all back. It seems like forever. Now, what I'm about to discuss may upset some people as usual, but it is what it is. It's just something I'm going to talk about based upon, I guess, the last few videos I've made referring to Vanity and some of the backlash that was given. But if you don't want to hear about that, you can exit this video as well, you know. But I just want to speak on it and the vanity. Is it really the reason why the black community is in the economic state that it's in, and the reason why they're economically inferior to other demographics within the United States, so to speak? Once again, I'm not here to tell anyone how to spend their money, and I guess that seemed to be the thing. I guess people were trying to say that I was trying to tell people how to spend their money. No, that's not it. I'm not trying to tell you how to spend your money. It's up to you how you want to spend your money. I'm not here to say either that all black people spend their money on bull. You know what I'm saying? But I see it's prevalent. I mean, we all have to admit that, it is prevalent within the black community. We see it on, and I think television is what's making it, worse because it's such an influence. The social media, the television, the Real Hoes of Atlanta, Real Hoes of Hollywood, all this crazy stuff like that. Basketball wives, all this stuff like that. Um, the black economic spending power is estimated to be $1.1 trillion annually. That's a lot of money, for such a small percentage, 11%, 12% that we make up of the United States. So the question is, where is this money going? Now, a lot of you may be familiar with Boyce Watkins. If you're not familiar with him, go check him out. He's a PhD in finance. He's a PhD. Obviously, he's a doctor as well. So he talks a lot about empowerment and within the black community and spending. And one thing that O'Shea was talking about, O'Shea Duke Jackson, he's another YouTuber. He was saying that, you know, in the black community, we tend to not, especially in Boyce Watkins, in his arena, he is in finance, but because who really wants to hear somebody talk about finance all day? So he basically dumbs it down, not to say dumb it down for lack of a better word, but he basically talks about contemporary issues in social media rather than talking about finance, even though he does speak about it. He speaks more about contemporary issues as well. Not to say he lays all his eggs in one basket as far as one thing to talk about. But he basically said, with us having this $1.1 trillion in spending power, you can buy 1,000 NFL teams with that money, 3,000 universities, 1.4 million charter schools across the nation, pay the tuition at Howard University for 50 million students for an entire year, buy 854,000 community centers. You can purchase NBC, ESPN, and CBS and still have 1 trillion left over. So this is just the power of the black dollar, so to speak. So why is a lot of our spending habits on bull? So one thing I want to talk about is the concept of guns and butter, which I talk about this on social media a lot, and y'all might have heard Ving Rhames, who plays Melvin on Baby Boy. He tells them about this concept of guns and butter, and instead of us spending our money on guns, which is things that appreciate with value, like real estate, property. He mentioned artwork, things of that nature. We spend our money on cars, clothes, uh, drugs. Not just saying, and I'm not just saying it's just that, but this is examples that we're given as well. Um, Stuff that doesn't mean, even jewelry. This gold that's not even pure gold. You spend money on jewelry that's not really worth anything after you buy it. And that concept was brought about by President Lyndon B. Johnson. You know, and this wealth by having these things, these clothing, this gold, this jewelry, these other things, it's to have the perception of having wealth when these things really aren't worth anything. You know, we spend so much money on beauty and products and weave and Jordans, aesthetic things that make us look as aesthetically pleasing. Heels, things like that. Secondhand used cars, stuff like that. All cars depreciate, bottom line, but secondhand used luxury cars just to have that appearance that you have wealth. And like I said, social media and reality television is what basically perpetuates this thing as far as the youth seeing this and they want to purchase these items just to be fashionable. So what tends to happen is by the time you get older, it may be too late. Not to say late, but as far as trying to catch up, you're trying to play catch up. And your children see this, your spending habits, especially if you have children at a younger age. If you're in your late 30s, early 40s, you're trying to play catch up. You might not be a homeowner. You might not even own any property, but you're trying to get to that point, and your children are actually seeing this, and they grow up following in your footsteps, so to speak. So they don't really get the game or have the knowledge, so to speak, from their parents of how to be financially literate, independent, and financially savvy to purchase these things. And unfortunately, they don't teach this stuff in school. It's like you learn through a trial and error process as a child, leaving the nest, so to speak. I know with me, when I grew up, I watched what my family did and I didn't do it because I saw them with, bad credit, things of that nature. But these things aren't really taught in school, and that might be not just a coincidence. That might be planned that way, that these things aren't, taught in school to make you financially literate. And if you don't have the knowledge yourself, you can't really teach your children. So they're learning, like I said, by trial and error. So, me personally, I like to call it, I'm a credit engineer. I, I help people build their credit, things of that nature. So I see a lot of credit reports and I see a lot of the things that people have on their credit reports. And it's like, people want to establish credit. A lot of people want to buy houses or people just want to buy cars. But it's honorable of them to want to purchase a home, even if some of these people are in their, late 30s, early 40s. Some people are in their 50s, but they're trying to get their stuff straight, but they didn't think about that in their youth. A lot of the stuff they have on their reports, stuff only stays on your report for 7 years anyway. But a lot of the stuff they weren't they weren't given the game, so to speak, and they didn't learn about it. So I don't want to say made bad decisions, but they just made decisions that affected their credit negatively. You know what I'm saying? And these not to say it could be they weren't properly educated, could have been they were educated, but based on the conversations I have with a lot of these people that I'm helping build their credit, a lot of these things they don't know. You know what I'm saying? And once you learn to, once you get that knowledge and you learn to properly leverage your finances and your credit, then you can start building. The thing is, in the black community, we should be investing in those guns instead of the butter. We need to just cut that butter out completely or keep it to a minimum to up until that point where if you can afford to do so, you see the people in other demographics who aren't as flashy and spending money on these things. You would never know how much money they actually have at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So the investment should be, and it's hard to get a young person to think that way for the most part, unless they just have that in them innately. To go out and purchase, say, hey, I want to buy some land on this earth. I want to go out and buy a house just so I have something that appreciates, because you can't leave a closet full of Jordans to your kids. I mean, you can, but what is that at the end of the day? You want to have something, a legacy, something to leave to your children. whether it be a business, but definitely property and land. Property, land, real estate, it never gets old. You should, even if these tax returns, whatever. I'm not telling anybody what to spend their money on, but that should be something to consider. Even if you're saving a couple dollars off, $50, $100 a month, try to save something to stack up just to buy a piece of land that you have your owner for, or some property you got a deed for. you know at the end of the day, your money is your power, believe it or not. Your money is your power. With that $1.1 trillion, you have the ability to affect so much change. And I believe Elijah Muhammad said, like, back in the 50s, you know, the black community as a whole, if each person just donated a nickel a day and they pooled that resource together, as far as uh, the population of black people, how much money you could come together with, as far as even something as far as building your own candidate to run for president, or building your own party, super PAC, so on and so forth, with just donating, each person donating a nickel, just things like that he was talking about. But it's on the parents to gain this knowledge and to educate your children as far as saving, and you know not having your children be wasteful, or not being flashy and things like that. There's other things. I mean, a child still has to dress, but not just all these $300 pairs of sneakers and all this crazy stuff that really doesn't mean anything. But it should, some sort of inspiration. You have to set the mark as a parent, rather than just having this child just wander aimlessly, not knowing anything. And like I said, learn by trial and error. Save up that money, purchase a plot of land, purchase some real estate, purchase something that has a deed and not just a title like with a vehicle. If you're having trouble saving, best thing is out of sight, out of mind for saving, and teaching your kids the same thing, out of sight, out of mind. Something, I'm just gonna throw this out here. Something I use. It's you got all these apps nowadays to save. I use an app called Digit, which automatically deducts money out of my account that I never even see, and it goes into its own little account. So that's something for y'all to look into. It's called Digit. And there's a app called Stash, and this is for investing. If for those of you who aren't completely, don't know where to start at with investing, it's something as simple as investing $5, in this app Stash, and it invests for you. So I mean, it's just something to start out, but education is the best thing. Instead of wasting your time watching television and watching ratchet shows and all this other crazy stuff, you could be learning about finances and building. So it's just food for thought. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure y'all click on that bell when you subscribe. That way you get the notifications instantly for all the videos when I upload them. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram as well. I just started that page. Uh, I'll follow you back and all that good stuff. And I'll catch y'all on the next video. Peace. And don't forget, anything lost can be found again except for time wasted. That applies for credit too and all that stuff. Building, you can always, I know I said something earlier about it's never too late, but you can always start over, man. So I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.